Hello everybody, this is Peter the Rock. I'm at the Grand Union Canal and I'm revisiting an old haunt. Please ignore the rubbish. First of all, I want to point out a sign which says Braunston 81 miles. It's still Friday the 22nd of December, so I'm exactly 2 miles south of where I filmed a previous video today, and I was wondering what GJCC stood for, and I've sort of worked it out in my head, because it wasn't always called the Grand Union Canal, it used to be called the Grand Junction Canal. So I reckon that stands for Grand Junction Canal Company. Anyway, this is the object that I'm interested in, and this used to be called Tranquility Bench by my old friend Cider Pete. I was looking up some old videos, and my video about Cider Pete, the saga of Cider Pete, I'm going to sit down on the bench, has finally passed 5,000 views. And I took it about I think it was around about May, 6 months ago, something like that. Same sort of scene from the bench. So this is at my Side of the Pete part 2. Here is a cat, and this boat is in the same place. Don't know if it's moved. I think it looks obviously the same boat. And I've been wondering. By the way, it's about 3:45. The sun is just about set. I think it's the shortest day of the year, and so it's going to be a shortish video. Oh, look at the swans, aren't they beautiful? So I love the way they dive down to find stuff on the canal bed. Anyway, having talked about my friend Cider Pete in the last video, I don't know why it's the second most popular video I've ever made for some reason. The most popular is me being nearly run over by a train at a foot crossing west of Amersham. So there you go. But for those who haven't seen the Cider Pete one, he was an old friend, local friend, and he used to originally drink a lot of cider, but he was slightly misnamed because as he aged, he drank more red wine, and in fact too much probably, and he gave it up. I think perhaps he thought he was an alcoholic, perhaps he was an alcoholic. So for several years I think he didn't drink anything at all alcoholic, which is what you're supposed to do if you're an alcoholic. And the story is a bit mixed, but I think he had a relationship which sort of went wrong for some reason, and sadly he relapsed and took to drinking quite heavily, and he lived in a flat near where I live, and the chap who lived in the flat beneath actually told me that he could hear regularly bottles hitting the floor as Cider Pete drank himself almost to death really. He had a sort of collapse, relapse, ambulance was called, he was hospitalized, dried out, and spent a few weeks in the psychiatric wing. And I heard about this and I visited him, and he recognized me, but for some reason he was rather paranoid, and he thought I had stolen his teeth. He couldn't find his teeth, and we didn't really talk about much else. But he was a very entertaining, good bloke, and he used to play musical instruments, guitar mostly, in a local pub called the Militia Canteen, which is no more. And he used to drink in another local pub called the Load of Hay, which is also no more and was closed for 3 years or so, and has fairly recently reopened and renamed itself the Loft. You can find these places on the map in the South Uxbridge area. Anyway, I realise now that I visited him in hospital 7 years ago. It was around Christmas 2016, and so I stayed for a bit. We chatted for a bit, and I went away, and then I heard he'd been transferred to some, I was going to say lunatic asylum, but that's incredibly politically incorrect. I suppose you'd call it a mental health nursing home. I don't know what you call it, but some place to aid his recovery in Ealing. That's what I heard. Didn't know which one, couldn't find him, and so on. Apparently he escaped from there once, managed to walk all the way from Ealing to Uxbridge, went into the load of hay, cadged a pint, and then was caught and sent back to his rehabilitation. Now, I don't know what's happened to him. This all happened 7 years ago. I think there are three possibilities. One is that he's passed on. Secondly, he's still in the home, still being treated. And the third one is that he's somehow recovered and he's out and about and living a good and useful life. I just don't know. I wish him well. He wouldn't hurt a fly. He used to work for the post office. He used to sit on this bench to relax because his job was with the post office, and he used to sort of have to get up early, I presume, and do what post office people do. And he did try really hard for a last section of his life to cure his alcoholism, which in the end came back and bit him. And I suppose it could happen to anybody, really. But that's the continuation of the Cider Pete saga. I won't go on, except to say thank you to everybody who liked the first version and maybe this one. This is Peter the Rock. It's Friday the 22nd of December, about 4 o'clock at Cider Pete's resting place, Tranquility Base. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe. Cheers.